So I know I said I was going to be starting to make original songs and working in the studio and everything like that. As you can see, the studio hasn't come very far along, but I'm still getting settled into the house, and wanted to make a video today to do a tutorial because I've had some comments on some past Shakey Graves covers that I've done that, you know, they say we want tabs or tutorials, and I will go into at the end of this video possibly how I just played that Late July, you know, the notes and everything. But at first I just wanted to in general talk about how Shakey plays the guitar and how to do that style of picking that's kind of signature for him and a lot of folk artists that do a similar thing. So the first thing you want to do for most of Shakey Graves songs, he plays an open D. So you want to tune your E down to a D. A stays the same, D stays the same, G goes down to an F sharp, your B string goes down to an A, and your high E string goes to a D. So it's D, A, D, F sharp, A, D. Open D tuning. And sometimes he goes down a half step for everything into C sharp, but for right now we'll just do open D. So the first thing when you're wanting to pick, or I should say finger pick in this style, is you have to kind of conceptualize in your brain that your thumb is the bass player. So the thumb is what's creating the pattern and the rhythm that's kind of continuously going. And that's pretty much all the time going to be on the 6th and 4th string. So right now I'm referring to, you know, 6th string is the closest to you, 1st string is the furthest away. 6th and 4th string is what a lot of the bass line is created by. Sometimes it's the 5th and the 4th string, 4th and the 6th string, 5th and the 4th string. So you may not be able to yet get that rhythm with your thumb, so that's the first thing you have to do when you practice the style of picking, is slowly go back and forth, do that thumb pattern. You don't even have to do anything with your other left hand. You can just practice open. It's still going to sound good because it's an open D tuning. But you kind of want to go back and forth between muting with your palm, you know, just having it resting on your bridge, giving it that mute, and that kind of, the more you mute it, the more you can get kind of a plucky sound. And then if you have it open, you know, it rings. So the biggest thing about this that I kind of want to drive home is that Shakey plays his songs pretty much differently every time. And that's one of the things I love about him as an artist, is that the dynamic nature of his songs when he plays live is, you know, it goes down tempo, it goes up tempo, it gets really plucky and muted, it's sometimes really ringy, and he kind of controls that as he goes along playing the song. So I don't really want to teach this in a way that's like, this is exactly how you have to do it, you know, technical, mechanical, you know, learn the tabs. If you're able to kind of get your mind around the whole style, you can kind of create your own feel to it. You can kind of play it the way that you hear it and kind of add some flavor to it based on, you know, how you're feeling at the time. So there's the muted bass string, and you just want to kind of practice. If you can't get that down yet, tap your foot or use a metronome. And then once you've got that down, once you're more confident with keeping that in rhythm, and your thumb is just kind of going back and forth between the 4th and 6th, hopping over that 5th string, the next thing you want to do is fret some notes. And keep that thumb continuously going. So we're going 7th fret, you can do whatever you want, 5th fret, 9th fret, 12th. So once you can do that, once you can play in rhythm and fret some notes, and you're kind of getting that continuous thumb pattern going, then you can move on to the next step. So the next step, once you've got that figured out and you've got the bass going, is the general basic Travis style pattern that you're going to kind of treat as home, that you'll go back to and go away from and go back to. And I'll get a little bit technical here, but the The pattern is 6, 4, 3, 6, 2, 4, 3. So it's 6, 4 with the thumb. So you're going to play those first two notes with the thumb. Then your pointer finger, your first finger plays the third string. You kind of have to assign each of your fingers to a string. So the thumb is assigned to the first three strings, or I should say 6, 5, and 4. Your pointer finger is assigned to the G string, which is the third string, which is now an F sharp. But anyways, your pointer finger is the third string. And then it's up to you whether you want to play with your middle finger on both the high E string and the second string, or you can devote, if it's more comfortable to you. I think it might be more technically right to use your ring finger for the high E string, but I end up using my middle finger for most. Sometimes I'll throw it in there, but for the most of the time I may use it more than I should, but I use my middle finger for both the high E and the second string. And when I say E, I mean D, because we're in open D. But anyways, that's what you gotta do. You gotta assign your fingers to the strings. So thumb is these top three, it's playing the bass, and then your pointer finger's playing that third string, your middle finger's playing the second string and the first string, or your ring finger's playing the first string. So the pattern, 6, 4, 3, 6, 2, 4, 3. So you might have to pause it, you can write that down, but it's 6, 4, 3, 6, 2, 4, 3, 6, 4, 3, 6, 2, 4, 3. And when you speed it up, it sounds like that. And if you use 5, so that's with 5, that's with 6, the low E string. So once you have that pattern down, you're going to want to practice it, get it such that you can kind of groove with it, get a little bit faster. And then you can add in the high D string pretty much whenever you feel like it. When you want it to kind of ring out and have that high note. So see, I'm kind of playing with the second and first string, but that thumb is still going. So you don't want to get married to because then, if you want to change it, you're not going to know what to do. But if you have that thumb going, sometimes you can do the normal pattern, and then sometimes you can change it up. And that's what you have to do when you play his songs, because there's a melody being played by the high strings and the bass still keeps going on the low strings. So for instance, at the beginning of Late July, he's playing 12, 11 on the high D, and then it goes from, on the second string, 9, 7, 5, 7, 9. So that melody is what you kind of have to split your brain for, and you have to have that melody being played by your third or your fourth finger, and then have the bass going at the same time. And then you're adding in those middle notes with your pointer finger when you see fit. So for instance, in this song, it's just starting out with the melody and that bass line going. So see, I added in the pointer finger there. So it kind of changes back and forth. Sometimes you throw in the pointer finger, sometimes you throw in the third finger. But the main thing is that bass is going and you've got the melody playing at the same time. So then when you go to the next part of the song, so that's the main pattern, except you're adding in that high string. And you're starting on the 5th. So your bass is the 5th, 4th, 5th, 4th, 5th, 4th, 5th, 4th. But then your pattern is. So you're adding in that high E string, and then it goes down. see it's changing there. I didn't do the high E string, but it's going 5th, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 3rd, 5th, 2nd, 4th, 3rd, 5th, 2nd, 4th, 3rd. So that's just kind of a way that you change it up a little bit. So it was going, add the high E string in there. So there I'm just playing the bass. And I might even pluck the notes at the same time. So if you do that, you're just playing your 6th and then your 4th, 3rd, and 2nd at the same time. And then that's just going back to the 5, 2, 4, 3. So really it's kind of, I can't totally explain every rhythm and pattern and break it down into 6, 4, 2, 3, 5. But you're pretty much changing, you're staying with the same general rhythm of the bass. It may be starting on the 5th, if the root is on the 5th string. It may be starting on the 6th. But basically you're just adding in flavor with your first and your middle finger when you see fit. And you're making sure that the melody, if there's one on the high strings, is getting played. And then, so in that particular part of the song, it's the normal pattern. That time I went from the 5th to the high string. So you kind of change it a little bit. So it's, so you may need to look at tabs, but at the same time, you're just kind of getting a feel for, all right, this is the normal pattern. I'm adding the high. Then I'm going, adding the E string next after the bass note. So generally that's what you have to get in your head, is that you're playing the bass with your thumb. If it starts the root note on the 6th string, you're playing 6, 4, 6, 4, 6, 4. If it starts on the 5th, you're starting on the 5th string, going between 5 and 4. And then the melody is kind of the other half of your brain that you're playing with your 3rd and your 1st finger, your middle and your 1st finger. And you're adding in those notes with your pointer finger whenever they need to come in. And then, like I said, you just kind of have fun with it. You go back and forth between. So another song that this is kind of important with, where you separate the melody in your head from the bass, is the melody in Dusty Lion is or something like that. And you're playing the bass notes at the same time. And you kind of have to figure out, okay, where do those notes have to hit in between the bass line? And so it ends up sounding like, so it's kind of hard. It's even I sometimes don't hit every bass note, but you still just have to have that rhythm going. And when he does that rolling, that's just going from 2nd to 4th, sliding. Sometimes he slides from 2nd to 3rd, sometimes he slides from 2nd to 4th. That's having that bass line going. You get the picture. So Really, yeah, you've got about 5 different things you can do. You can play a melody and have that thumb going. You can do a normal, or you can add in the high E string, or you can do a quick, or you can do like a really slappy. And basically you're gonna go between those patterns and just kind of add in that high E string when you want to, add in that middle 3rd string whenever you want to. And then as you listen more to his songs and you kind of practice and get more in the rhythm of this style of playing, you'll kind of notice, okay, here's where he's adding in that 3rd string, here's where he's adding in that 2nd string. Here's the difference between the melody and the bass line. And yeah, just all I can say is just start doing it and eventually you'll figure it out. I could not fingerpick, I couldn't wrap my head around it for a long time. I learned the song Blackbird by Paul McCartney. That's a lot of people's first fingerpicking song, and that kind of got me to figure out what it's like to fingerpick. So maybe go and learn that song first if you want to look up the tabs. But yeah, if you want to play Shakey Graves or Tallest Man on Earth, or there's a lot of guys who do that same thing. Get that bass line going, learn your normal Travis pattern, adding in the high E string, and then separate the melody. And if you do all those things and kind of add your own style to it, you'll be playing like Shakey Graves or like you in no time. So that was the corniest thing I've ever done. Thank you for watching this video. I will see you next time.